All right. Very good morning, everyone. Good morning, Arvinder sir. Good morning from India, of course. People on the call, thanks for joining and a very good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Poonam.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Couldn't be better, It's the weather's really nice out today, and yeah, I can't complain.
Yeah, great,
Yeah.
great. It's kind of freezing in Delhi, especially Delhi. But yes, we have people and our esteemed agents from all across the globe, I would say. All right, so good morning, everyone. I wish you, first of all, a very happy new year. I hope each one of you is safe and doing well, along with all the nears and dear ones. So, as you all know, that we at Aplicar are always geared up to empower our partners and agents, and we want to do everything possible to help you be successful. With the beginning of the new year, we have come up with another wonderful session, which, and of course, we are going to talk about something which is very important and cannot be overlooked. Now, Mr. Arvinder sir, he would be talking about, how you can establish yourself as a credible brand, as an agent, as a partner, and can grow leaps and bounds. We are also going to discuss all the best practices in the industry which you must follow to engage your students, and a lot of practices which should be avoided at any cost. And to enlighten us on this, we have with us this co-founder and the CEO of Aplicar, Mr. Arvinder Willing. He has always been helping us by sharing a lot of insights and showing us the right direction. Now, before I hand over to you, sir, a little housekeeping. I would urge, if you have any questions, anybody, I would request you to please post it on the chat box so that we can take all the questions later. Over to you, sir.
Awesome. So thank you, Poonam. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. And good morning. I was almost about to say good evening, good night. It's
Yeah,
9
right.
p.m. here. So good morning, everybody. A very happy new year to all of you and everyone around you, including your team members and family. Are you able to hear me? Okay.
Yes, absolutely, sir. Loud
Okay.
and clear.
So I just saw one of the messages saying I just
Right.
wanted to make sure my things okay. So yeah, so it's been, and I hope that you've all been keeping well and safe. And these are very uncertain times. So I was in India in December. I had the opportunity to meet some of you, and the others who I couldn't meet, I'm really sorry, and I had to cut short my trip. But it was an opportunity for me to meet a lot of you and really understand more about your needs and your businesses and how you operate, what your needs are. It was basically amazing to hear some of the thoughts and the needs that I was able to understand, and how we as Team Applica really, refine our processes, come up with the products that meet and serve your needs better. And tonight's no, I'm sorry, not tonight's, today's, because it's tonight for me, but today morning's webinar is also one of those outcomes of those meetings that I had when I was meeting a lot of our partners during my visits to your offices and other things. One of the conversations that was really constant in all of these meetings were about trying to understand some of these best practices. What are some of the industry leaders doing? So I'll share some of the best practices that I've seen in my 15 years in the industry, working with recruitment partners, institutions in different parts of the world. And as we say, these are the best practices in industry which would help you expand your business and stand out in the markets that you are. And also talked about some of the things that you should be avoiding in terms of, you know, if you are really wanting to expand, and you need to avoid so that you can better serve your students. So I understand, we all have limited times, so I'll jump right into that. So when we talked about the best practices, it starts right from the time the student walks into your office. So when you're talking to them, always, Poonam, if you can maybe change the slide, please. So
Sure.
it starts right from the beginning. I've always told my partners and everybody who's listened to me in the last 10-15 years is being proactive when you were dealing with the students, setting those expectations right at the start. It is really important when we're talking to the students, to their families, to set those expectations right in terms of what the process would be, how it works, uh, and the realistic timelines in terms of the processing times, the fee structures, the open intakes, and what the options are for the students. So once you set these expectations right, it helps your team become more productive, engage the student, and avoid a lot of future frustrations which you would otherwise normally see in this. So setting these expectations right is really very important. It's the very foundation of that relationship that you're building with your students. So being proactive, setting those expectations right. So once you've set those expectations right, the journey becomes much more smoother. So once that you are on that journey, the next thing that I always talk about is helping students understand the timelines and the deadlines. You know, really, really important. Understanding the deadlines has never been more important than in today's time. And why do I say that? And I'm sure everybody's dealing with a lot of delays in visas, deferrals, and other things. So the reason I say that deadlines are very important is if we miss any of these deadlines, it does have serious consequences. I have seen students lose thousands of dollars in terms of when they applied for a refund because they missed the deadline. Now the refund policy says this: $2,500 deduction or $1,000 deduction. And I'm sure you never wanted that. The student doesn't want it, you don't want it, right? It's just not in anybody's best interest. Or if it's a deferral and we don't put that application in by the time, the student may miss the next intake or the registration date. So it's really important to be aware and to be on top of the deadlines and timelines, both for your team and the students. So that, and especially in these uncertain times. So really, really important that you stay on the top of these deadlines and your team understands the importance of it. One of the other things that I always tell my partners and everybody is paying the tuition deposit. So when we pay the tuition deposit, they're like, can I use this, can I use this method? I've always been a very big supporter of using the official channels of the payment. Every institution and letter of offer has certain directions in terms of how you would or how you can pay those tuition deposits, right? So please ensure and let the student know that this is the best way to do it. I personally don't advise using third party vendors or some shady foreign exchange dealers or something. It's just not in anybody's best interest. Or a big no for a third party, credit cards. Using wire payments, Flywire or Pay My Tuition is usually the best, safest, and the fastest method of paying the tuition deposits. Your money is safe, you can track it, you have a record of it and everything. So make sure when you're talking to the students and they say, sir, what is the best way? So official channels are the best way. So you have a track record and everything, just in case anything happens, which I'll talk about in few minutes, what can happen, what I've seen happen in the last few days, in the last couple of months or something. So it is really important for, us as, their representatives to help them understand the best ways to do that. The next thing that I talked a lot about is probably one of the easiest things to implement as a best practice, not just the easiest, but extremely important and critical, to use students' contact information, student's email and his phone number, right? There's a reason for that. It is based on my experience in certain uncertain, unfortunate events. It can create a lot of problem. So there's different aspects to it. So putting out students direct information, phone number and email there, it helps you bring in transparency with the student. It helps build that trust with the student. It also limits your liability in case your team members miss out on any of the emails, any important email from the institution, and student misses the deadline. Now who's responsible for it? So I've always said that it's a great tool to bring in efficiency, transparency in your processes and limit your liabilities. So really important. I have been a witness to certain very extremely unfortunate events wherein the institution needed to get hold of the family of the students, but they could not, because the information that was provided to them was not the right email or the phone number of the student or the family for an emergency numbers. So there's a reason for asking this information. So I have always asked everybody to use this. It helps you a lot. It also helps the students take ownership of the process. The student is better engaged and aware of that, and he's then not you know phoning you or visiting your office for every small detail, because he gets in that information directly from the student, which you're also part of that journey anyways. One of the last things that I'll talk about in terms of best practices, which I didn't put it here, and is submitting completed applications. Making sure that the application that you submit is complete with all the supporting documents. Anytime any documents missing, it creates a lot of delays. So if we really want to expedite the process, make it as efficient as possible and avoid any details, the best practice is to send in a complete application. Am I better off sending an incomplete application today or sending off a complete application day after tomorrow? If I send a complete application in a day later or so, or 2 days, it will be processed much faster, because that to and fro communication between institution and us and the student is minimized. So ensuring that all the applications that you send have all the information that's needed in terms of students contact information and others, and all the supporting documents that are needed. So really, really important. So what these are some of the things, some of the best practices that industry leaders have implemented in their businesses. This is something that can help your business build a very strong reputation in the market, bring in transparency, and it also builds on the confidence of the students and their families. So it's some of these best practices, and I'm sure a lot of you follow those, but it's always good to remind and relearn some of these things and implement it in your businesses if you're really wanting to expand and grow in as we move forward in this new year. So I'll now move on to some of the things that we should probably stay away from, and these are very much a very basic self-explanatory things. Misrepresentation, fraudulent documents. Stay away from that. And I'm sure most of you do, right? So there is no misrepresentation which is too insignificant or too small. We do not want to be seen as providing that misrepresentation or any document which we know is fraudulent to the institution or to the immigration. These have serious consequences for misrepresentation, 5-year ban on students, or cancellation of the admissions from the institution and a ban. So we don't want to do this. One point which I'll probably point out here as an IRCC, which I see a lot of the misrepresentation happens around when they say, have you ever been refused a visa or denied entry into any country? We assume it's no, 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 because we're so used to hearing no. And you have this one student who was probably refused a visa for US 5 years back. You send that in, the visa officer looks at it, and now it is a misrepresentation. right? So it is really important to, when you're filling some of these things out, to really talk to the student and say, are you sure this you've never been refused a visa, not just for Canada, but for any other country. So please, like, this is one of those things where a lot of the misrepresentations happen, sometimes knowingly or mostly unknowingly, as just an error or an oversight. So you don't want to do that. Tampering with official documents. Nobody should ever tamper with any official documents, letter of offer, letter of acceptance, fee receipts, no matter how insignificant or minor the tampering, right? If there's any issues or any errors on the offer letter, let us know. We'll get it changed from the institution. So really, really important. The consequences of this could be 5 years ban, admissions cancellation, and all those things, right? Not refund, no refunds allowed in case of misrepresentation or fraudulent documents. So very, very important for us to understand that, we should stay away from this and encourage everybody actively to stay away from this. So this was another thing. Couple of other things that we should be aware of is, there's a lot of scams and frauds happening around. Or, hey, we're calling from the embassy and we need to do this, can you, we need to, if you send us this much money and all those things. So make sure, we're helping our students out. Puna, if you can maybe move on to the next slide, please. So it is really important for us to, keep a tab on as to what is happening in terms of frauds and scams and other things. And so letting the students know that a very basic information, don't give out personal information over the phone until you've really verified who the person is. One of the things that's been brought to my attention recently is students paying their tuition fee deposits through a third party vendor, wherein a third party uses a credit card. I have seen instances where a student, without any fault of his, has been advised to use somebody, and this person has, paid the money to that third party vendor. Then they use a credit card, and once the offer letter is issued or after a few days, the third party vendor disputes the payment. And now the student is the one who gets stuck. He's lost his money. He's probably now involved in a financial fraud. His admission gets cancelled and they are reported to the IRCC by the institution. So when a student is talking about, transferring the tuition fee, tuition deposits, and any of these things, it is really important for us to help him understand what can go wrong. And I personally advise everybody never to, you know suggest or advise using a particular third party if we know that, there are chances that this may go sideways. It's a big risk for your reputation for no reason, and you're not making any money out of it or anything. So it's a big risk for your reputation if anything goes sideways. Student gets banned, your reputation's at stake. So I would maybe, it's really important to be aware of some of these scams. So just wanted to, that's pretty much it from my end tonight. So really wanted to thank you for taking the time out. I know it's been a busy time of the year, back from holidays with all the new excitement, new goals, new ambitions for this year. So, and thank you for the trust and the support that you've shown in Aplicar. 2021 was an amazing year for us at Aplicar, and I'm sure at our business partners in terms of the business. I'm really positive and really looking forward to 2022. We'll even have a better year, more opportunities, more, some of really exciting, features that will improve and increase your business. So I'm really looking forward to the year ahead, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from you guys. We're now open for any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot for honestly throwing light on, what should be done and what should actually be avoided. And this is seriously an enlightenment for all of us. And as you rightly said, that trust is the important factor, right? So I think all our partners and agents, though of course they are doing their best, but yes, trust is the important thing that we should be building our credibility. And I think this industry is based on the recurring business that we get. So if we are doing really good with a student, and we are not, of course, all the practices that we follow, I'm sure that we are going to get a lot of trust from the students. So great. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you once again, for sharing the insights with us. So we're opening this session for any questions that you have. So we already have some questions, sir, here. So what is the best mode to communicate with the students? So as you mentioned about the communication that we should be doing to the students. So if you can just throw some light on that.
The communication with the student becomes really easy. That's what I've seen in 15 years. If we are really honest and proactive upfront, setting that stage right. I don't want to promise a student something that will take 3 weeks, saying, oh, this will be done in 5 days. Come day 5, the student is in your office. And from there on day 6, day 7, day 8, day 9, and then 2 times to your office, 3 times to your office. So once we set those initial expectations right, that communication becomes really important. And I have seen students say, sir, I went to this person and he said, my thing will be done in 4 weeks. And I went to the others and they said 5 days. I went with the 4-week person and he got it done. There's no way, students are smart these days. They know what is happening in the market. The moment you promise them something which you cannot do this, which they know is not true or doesn't sound right, they right away know that he doesn't know what he's talking about. He or she doesn't know what they're talking about. So really important to set that right. Really engage the student to be a part of their journey. It is their journey, right? We're helping them on this journey. So we want them to be an active participant of this journey. So that trust, that setting the tone right, helping them understand the deadlines, the timelines is really important.
Right, right. So I would just like to add here, that if we do talk about the communication, you mentioned about the deferral dates, the refund policies, and everything should be communicated to the student so that the student doesn't come to you and say, okay, where this was the last date. So just to mention here that Aplicar is taking that initiative. We every week, every 15 days, we are sending updates on when is the deferral date, what is the deadline, when you can, what is the last date to submit the application, to submit the deferral application, etc. So yes, I think the student should be in loop all the time. Now we have another question, sir, that sometimes the students are very adamant and they want to pay through third party. So can you just suggest us what could be the solution and how can we deal with the situation?
If a student, us as someone who are professional in this industry, we should help him understand the risk that he's taking and the consequences of that. And if he is still okay with it, then there's nothing we can do to stop it. But as professionals, as somebody who's looking out for the best interest of the student, we should help him understand why he should not do this.
Okay, great. Thank you. And so another question here that what is the recommendation, when students can directly, write to the college and when they can communicate through our team, for certain follow-up. So what is the best way? Should they be communicating directly? Because I definitely, I mean, you have answered this already, but then some partners are asking, what is the best mode? Should they be directly communicating with the college? Because sometimes they do. So how can we, curb this situation?
A lot of the institutions do not encourage that, and some of them do. So it's very institution specific. But here's why the institutions do not recommend that is, think about it. A student then starts writing to the institution every day. And then they say, oh, if we start responding to these emails, we'll not be able to do the job that we're supposed to do. So until and unless it's something that the institution has directly asked the student, the best thing is to look for the timelines, the TAT and all those things around, and then maybe talk to their recruitment representative agent, whoever they're dealing with, our recruitment partners, and then with us to help understand. So if there is something that we can answer at our end, we would. If there is something that we need to find an answer from the institution, we'll do that.
All right. Thank you, sir. I see two hands are raised here. So can we take their question? Sahil, can you please post your question in the chat box or in the Q&A box, please? All right.
Sahil, we have allowed you to talk. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
I think I had seen another, raised hand. Shelvin.
Hello.
Shelvin, do you want to? Yeah. Yes, Sahil.
Yeah, sorry, Sahil here. Thank you for unmuting me. Actually, I just recently started using Aplicar as a new agent. I just have a couple of questions. First of all, where I can learn how to defer a semester in Aplicar? Is there any link?
I'm sure there is how to defer a semester or any. So there's a couple of different ways, Sahil, on that. I'm sure we have daily trainings that we do for our recruitment partners as to how the system works and how you can do that. You can also talk to your business manager, and he would be able to help you out as to how to defer the intake or admission for your student.
Okay, great. And in these cases, I just recently started doing deferrings. So do we need to update the filing officer as well? Like, do we need to send IRC any email or something?
It depends where you are in the process. If you, because you have already applied for a visa and you have not heard, historically what happens is the IRCC will send an email saying, we are in the process of processing your application. We would want to see the new deferred letter. Or if you haven't heard that, then you can pretty much also do an upload through the, now that he, to the visa officer through the web forms, saying because the decision was not made in time, it's about to start, the semester is about to start, so we have now deferred our admission, here's the new deferred letter. So you can do that through web forms if the application is already under the process, or they will ask you for it.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's great. Wonderful.
Thank you, Sahil. I hope that answered your question. So we have another question here. One of the partners is asking. They're asking, why is it important to mention the student's email address?
There's a number of reasons for that. One, it is a student who's applied for it, number one, so he needs to know what is happening. Number two, you don't want a liability of, say, if your counselor or your team or you miss that email, important email, and student misses the deadline of paying the fee or registering or anything, who's responsible for that? I have seen a case wherein a student applied for one of the top universities in Canada. His admission offer was made. Student missed, not the student, the recruitment partner missed the email, and student's admission was cancelled. The student's family sued the agency that they were working with and wanted damages because his admission to the top university of Canada was denied. So you have all the reasons to do that. You will still, as their representative, you will still get that information.
Absolutely. Guys, as we are running out of time, I would request, please post your questions on the chat box or in the Q&A box so that we can email you. And please fill this poll. This will help us improve. This will help us, bring more wonderful sessions like these to empower you and enhance your knowledge. So I would request everyone, please submit the poll. And any questions, meanwhile, we can take them up. So, yes, absolutely, Annie. This is being recorded and this is Facebook Live. So you can anytime go to our channel and you can view this recording. Thank you. Great. So
Anu and Amritpal, I can see that your hands are up. Maybe if you can type your queries in the chat box, it'll be easier for us to answer those questions. And Ria, we've already gone through your question. I'll ask your respective BDM to reach out to you. Right now, we want to take questions related to the ethical practices that we've discussed and shared with all of you. Poonam, if you can go through the chat and question answers and quickly take, if we have a couple of more questions which are relevant to the topic today while we are conducting the poll.
There were some repeat questions, so sir has answered all those questions, and rest of the questions are related to the programs, the gaps, and the academic requirements. So for that, we definitely will have your BDM get in touch with you, and we will email you as well.
We request you all to take a minute before you leave the session and answer the two questions that we have in the poll. That will help us to, come up with the more and more ideas for the webinar, and it will also help us improve.
Yeah. And so one last minute question. It's like, why should students prefer agencies when there is already a lot of information and students can directly apply? I think that's a very interesting question.
It definitely is, and I think that that's a value proposition. We add a lot of value, you as
Absolutely.
recruitment partners to that student's journey. Think about this. Before, what would happen is if I want to apply and if I want to study abroad, I'll have to first find out what are the destinations, what are the different options in each destination, then each province, the different institutions, the different programs. So I might end up, maybe scanning through, I don't know, 200, 500 websites.
Absolutely.
And confused. And because everything is so disorganized and, okay, you go to this institution's website, you find this information, then international and others. So there's a lot of value add, because being the professionals in this industry, when you talk to the student, you can definitely understand what his needs are, where he wants to study, what would be the best program based on his academic requirements and based on his future plans. So it gives it a lot of direction to that thing, and it helps them save a lot of research hours and hours of frustration and all those things. So it definitely makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you so much, sir, because, we also understand that, of course, there's a lot of information available, right? But we still take classes, right? We still go to school, we still go to colleges, and something which experience brings, you really can't beat that. A person who has been into this business for about like 15 years, 20 years, helping students, take up courses, programs. So you can imagine the kind of expertise, right? The moment you say, this is, IELTS and academics and
I'll tell you that I also share an example, my personal example. I can do my taxes.
Absolutely.
I can do my
Yeah,
financial
absolutely.
statements, but it will probably take me, I don't know, 2 months, 3 months to do it. So I go to a professional who knows what he's doing, which is a lot easier for him to do it, right? So it is always better from a student's perspective, just when a student walks in, he's already very confused, right? He's
Right.
looking for direction, he's looking for that short list, and then do the research. Once he knows, okay, these are my 3 or 4 options, he'll still go home and do his research. But now
Absolutely.
he has a much more focused vision as to what he wants to research.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think it's
I'll also
it
give
doesn't
you,
have.
because I have been on the other side working for an institutions also, a student, when they apply directly, on an average send about 30 to 35 emails to an institution. It was, oh, I want to know this, I want to know that, I want to know this. By the time he gets all his answers, the deadlines have already passed.
Right. So people who already do not know, Mr. Arvinder Billing himself went to Canada, for his international studies as an international student for his master.
I'm sorry,
So
not,
who
not, I'm
better?
sorry, Poonam, not. I didn't, not as an international student, but I've
Yeah.
taught at the Canadian public
Yeah,
universities
right,
and
right.
colleges. I've recruited for them. So I bring in a lot of very diverse experience in terms of, from an academic perspective,
Right.
from a recruitment perspective, from a business perspective. So yes, but I did do my master's from UNBC. Yes, I started
Right.
my master's at UNBC.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's one more question that I can see, Arvinder and Poonam, and I'm not sure if I missed it. So Mr. Jagtej wants to know, is it good to take some charges from the student for filing visas?
I don't think I should be answering that.
Yeah.
That's a business decision that you make.
Jagdej, I hope that answers your question, and that's what we informed you in past as well, that it is your business decision. We
It's a
cannot
business
comment as to
decision,
whether you
right?
should or not.
Whether you should or not. That's a business decision that you make. Yes.
Any
right.
more questions, guys? Yeah. So we don't have any questions as of now, sir. So yeah.
Awesome then. So
Yeah.
thank you everybody. Thank you so much for your time. Not tonight, but this morning. Sorry. I was still about to say it for tonight. So thank you so much. I know you all have things to do. Thank you for the support and taking the time out to be, to be here tonight. Okay. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, sir, for taking out time and sharing the wonderful insights with us. Thank you, Pratika. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, wonderful partners. So yeah, stay tuned. We are coming up with a lot of wonderful sessions like these. Thank you so much once again. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.